So, Ty, what do you think about the B side of this song?
I think I really should not have listened to the B-side before recording an episode. I'm sorry. But listeners, welcome to the Classic Vinyl Podcast. And if there's anything that gets me into vapor lock, laughing my butt off, it's listening to John Lennon's wife, Yoko Ono, do her primal screaming. And
or just in general do singing,
Or singing.
as she calls it.
yeah.
And I apologize to all of the Yoko Ono fans out there, but horrible stuff, man.
There's no reason why that song on the B-side should even have like the second half or second 2/3 of the song of the title. The B-side we're referring to is Don't Worry, Kyoko. Mummy's Only Looking for a Hand in the Snow by Yoko Ono. She never says anything past Don't Worry, Kyoko.
I don't even hear the Kyoko. I just hear Don't Worry. But
Well, that's because, she's screaming it.
So today we're going to do John Lennon's single, Cold Turkey. John Lennon and the Plastic Ono Band, or one version of it, should I say. Let me give you a brief history of John Lennon, born on October 9th of 1940 in Liverpool, England. He was obviously the founder, one of the main writers and co-vocalist of the Beatles, which I consider the best band of all time. First single John Lennon released solo was Give Peace a Chance. It was released in 1969. During his stint with the Beatles, it reached number 2 in the UK, number 14 in the US. And of course, the Beatles broke up in 1970. John Lennon, especially after the Beatles, is well known for his political activism. I mean, he had the Bet In for Peace. He fought deportation in the US and fought the Nixon administration, all while the FBI was surveilling him, apparently. So he's well known for his writing and art.
He was very busy in the 70s.
He was busy, but at the same time he wasn't, because one thing he's really famous for is quitting music from 1975 to 1980 to raise his son, Sean.
That's right.
He really did no music at all, and people thought he was crazy for it. But all in all, he's released 11 studio albums, 3 live albums, and multiple compilations and box sets as a solo artist. Sold almost 25 million records as a solo artist alone. That's not including, obviously, his Beatles contributions.
That's impressive.
Yeah, as far as his albums go, Imagine and Double Fantasy, they both reached number 1 in the UK. And Imagine, Walls and Bridges, and Double Fantasy reached number 1 in the US. 17 total albums of his have reached the top 50 in the US. He's released 25 singles. 3 of them reached number 1 in the UK, which was Imagine, Just Like Starting Over, and Woman. Only 2 of them reached number 1 in the US, which was Whatever Gets You Through the Night and Just Like Starting Over. All 25 of his singles were in the top 100 in the U.S. Once again, he had that period where he quit music to raise his son, which is pretty neat, from 75 to 80, but he did return in 1980 with Double Fantasy, and of course that's when he was shot and murdered on December 8th of 1980, and that really did help the album, obviously. The sales skyrocketed after that. I mean, really as sad of a day as it was to lose Lennon, I mean, that really strengthened his legacy. I mean, we talk about it all the time, all the members of the 27 Club and some of the things that happened to some of these famous rock musicians of the 50s, 60s, 70s, or whatever. It really does martyr them in a way. So do you want to get the song review?
Yes, let's do it.
And now it's time for the song review.
So today we're going to do John Lennon, the Plastic Ono Band, and their single Cold Turkey. Do you have any history with this song? Did you know this song before hearing it tonight?
My history with this song goes back exactly 6 minutes. This is my first time, and wow, I'm just blown away. Yeah, I have no history with this song.
So you have no history with this song whatsoever?
None whatsoever. Although I am just so pleased that there is a B-side with a Yoko Ono song.
Well, pleased isn't what I would describe it, my feeling on it, but I guess pleased to see you enjoy it. Or I think the fact that you enjoyed it is because you didn't enjoy it, if that makes any sense.
It was painful.
So I've liked this song for a long time. It's really one of John Lennon's first singles. Obviously, he was still in the Beatles when he recorded this. It was released as a single on October 20th of 1969. It was recorded at EMI Studios in London, which is now called Abbey Road Studios. It was produced by John Lennon and Yoko Ono. B-side of this song is Don't Worry, Kyoko. Mummy's Only Looking for a Hand in the Snow, and that's Yoko Ono's song.
Once again, why is there even a second half to that title? Mummy's Only Looking for a Hand in the Snow. You never even hear that in the song.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure there, but obviously this single was released under the name Plastic Ono Band, and the Plastic Ono Band consisted of John Lennon on guitar and vocals, Eric Clapton on guitar, Klaus Voormann on bass, and Ringo Starr on drums. So one half of the Beatles with Eric Clapton and one of the Beatles' earlier friends, Klaus Voormann, and pretty powerful band, really.
Excellent performers, excellent musicians. Each of these guys is a master.
And obviously, when they got into the first album, Plastic Ono Band by Lennon, Clapton was not part of that band. But as far as the charts are concerned, Cold Turkey, the single, reached number 30 in the U.S., number 14 in the U.K. All this was recorded while the Beatles were still a band, but the Beatles, they didn't want to record the song, simply because of its obvious reference to drugs. Now, a lot of people have said, including Lennon, that this is about, John Lennon and Yoko Ono's brief addiction to heroin and basically the very raw experience they were having with the symptoms of withdrawal.
Sure sounds like it.
Or it could be, maybe it's more literal. Maybe it is cold turkey he had in the fridge and he made himself a sandwich, and that's what's giving him the goose pimples and
got him on the runs.
And the shame.
Oh,
yeah.
It's got him the runs.
It could. No, but obviously referencing heroin withdrawal and the Beatles, I'm sure the other three Beatles all vetoed this because this probably wasn't the best thing for their image.
So Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, I mean, there's songs by the Beatles that have supposed or ambiguous drug reference, right? But this one's pretty blatant.
Well, not only is it blatant, but I think you're pointing towards one of the heavier drugs of the time. And so I think it's just an image the Beatles didn't want to be part of. But funny enough, Lennon was part of it, and he was in the Beatles at the time. So I don't know if it had much difference, but it is what it is. This song's been covered by a lot of bands. A few famous ones like Cheap Trick, Lenny Kravitz, the Hollywood Vampires, that's Alice Cooper's band, a ton of others that have covered it. So after listening to Cold Turkey, what are your thoughts on this song, Tyler?
This song has a really heavy, abrupt electric guitar open. And that guitar, would you call that a riff? What would you call this?
I mean, it's certainly a riff, and, Clapton's playing that, and he does an amazing job at it. And that's one thing, not getting into my section of what I think about this song, but that's what makes this powerful. Because if you've listened to this podcast, you know full well that that's what I'm into.
Oh, absolutely.
Is guitars. And
this guitar is powerful. It is unsettling. And one of the things that's unsettling is that you hear this riff I think it's a regular timing, but it seems like it goes about a half a beat late coming in every time it comes in. And so it leaves you hanging, and it's probably a regular timing. And instead of on the, fourth beat it coming in, it comes in on the 4.5 beat. I mean, it just kind of starts in it's jolting to you.
But to start the song, I mean, it's very jolting to start the song because
it
just comes right out. There's no preemptive anything. It's just that guitar right up front.
And he keeps repeating it, and it gives you that same unsettling feeling. This song sounds like quitting an addiction cold turkey. And boy, I mean, I can see why people almost die when they go through withdrawal. The awesome thing that I noticed after listening to the B-side is that the A-side and the B-side, they both have a very clear message of pain, and they do it very clearly.
Yeah, except on the A-side, John Lennon's singing about his pain. On the B-side, we're listening to our own pain.
Yeah, she's screaming in our ear. Oh, I love Yoko Ono. Thank you for being you. So the bass in this is really funky. I love this bass. Klaus Voormann on the bass and Ringo Starr on the drums have this dance that they're doing, and they're doing it so well. It's like it is. It's like watching Dancing with the Stars or something. And they're doing this playing back and forth, and it's so funky and so pounding like your heartbeat, And that's what this song feels like. It feels like, the instruments, your heart beating in your head while you're, suffering through this withdrawal, and that annoying guitar that just comes in so abruptly and when you don't really expect it, or a little later than you expect it. John Lennon singing about it, and the things that John Lennon is saying are they're so descriptive and so literal about the pain and suffering that comes with withdrawal. It's very well done. I gotta say that this song, it just feels like withdrawals. Let's see, this guitar, it sounds like you're like the frayed nerves when, if you've ever quit something cold turkey, like quitting smoking cold turkey, and everybody's known somebody that's tried to quit smoking, and they get like a couple days into it, and you can just tell that their nerves are raw and frayed, and everything annoys them, and there's nothing they can do, because normally they just go have a cigarette, and they can't because they're quitting. They're going cold turkey. And so what do they do now? And you're watching them. And that's why John Lennon singing this, he's like, cold turkey has got me on the run. And you're looking for any escape. You're trying to run away from it. It's definitely a song about pain. And I thought it was a masterpiece. What did you think of that one?
I enjoy this song, and I do agree with you that not only are the lyrics very literal. I mean, if you listen to them and read the lyrics, there's nothing really hidden in them. But the music itself actually conveys that pain as well. I love the song, how it opens with that guitar riff. Mm-hmm. And the guitar riff doesn't really change a whole lot through the song. It's pretty much the same guitar riff. Even the solo is basically the opening guitar riff. And then it's got just kind of little chunks of that guitar going throughout. But the bass in this thing is heavy. It's up front, and it hits you heavy. I love the bass in this song. And the drumming is typical Ringo. I'll be the one, not just because the Beatles are my favorite band, but Ringo is the perfect example of a drummer that can keep time and does everything perfect without overdoing it. He's not a Keith Moon drummer, but he's a perfect drummer, especially for the Beatles, obviously. He's underrated, if that's possible. I mean...
And with this song, timing seems very important. Keeping a steady, regular timing seems really important in the song. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. And I like when they get to the chorus, it's really good because the guitar kicks out and the bass and the drums kind of kick up a kind of a wind-up beat, which I really enjoy. But, some of the lyrics, my eyes are wide open, can't get to sleep, I'm in at the deep freeze. I mean, you've got, I'll be a good boy, please make me well, I'll promise you anything, get me out of this hell. I mean, these lyrics couldn't really get any more literal than what they are. To me, the bass is amazing through this. The guitar is obviously amazing. The drum's perfect. And let's talk about Lennon's voice, but he's got that shaky voice, which is also conveying that feeling of...
It's unsettling, yeah.
It's very unsettling. He's unwell. He's not doing very well. So his voice really conveys that as well. And you get to the very end of the song, and there's all kinds of things going on. Let little Lennon... No. He's going all over the place, and then a bunch of sounds that sound almost more sexual than they do
painful, right?
Painful, or maybe both. I don't know, but there isn't too many songs that you can listen to the lyrics and read into the lyrics and come up with all kinds of different things. This thing from the very beginning, the music, the lyrics, everything. It really just shows well to what it's about and what it is, and it makes you feel that pain.
Sure does.
Yeah, it's an excellent song. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, this one, it took me to a world that's very foreign to me, and it's very unsettling how vivid it was.
So do you want to get to the song rating?
Let's rate it.
Song rating.
Okay, if this is your first time listening, we've got a rating scale that's 0 to 10. 0 is terrible. 10 amazing. And if it's a 10, I'm going to go out and buy it. I might very well go out and buy this single for the B-side. But I got to say, I can't give this a 10, although this song, for what it is a beautiful work of art. This is such vivid portrayal of what the artists are trying to convey. And yet it's because of the nature of it, it is pain inducing, and it feels painful to listen to this, especially if you haven't heard the acoustic version. We did get a taste of a bunch of different versions, demos, etc. The acoustic version, I was blown away by how, not having electric instruments and amplification, they were able to still provide that same unsettlingness with acoustic guitars and just raw voice. I'm amazed by it. Well done. Bravo to the Plastic Ono Band and John Lennon, the late John Lennon. We miss him. I have to rate this one a 7, and that is brought up by the masterful work of each of these artists. Everybody involved is just a genius, and this showcased their talent so well. But that being said, it's still a song about pain, and it hurt. It really isn't my jive, especially since I don't have any experience with addiction. So I can only get like a second-hand understanding from him telling me. But he told it very well. Where do you rate this one?
Cold Turkey's always been kind of a weird song for me because it doesn't fall on an album. Well, I mean, it does now, but it didn't originally. During the Beatles' time, it was recorded, and then shortly after he did Plastic Ono Band. But I've always enjoyed the song, mainly for the guitar and the music, more than the message of the song, which is hard to be missed anyways. But I give this song an 8.
Yeah.
It's a good song. It's a powerful song. Some of it did carry over into the Plastic Ono Band album, which Well, I like the guitar in that. There's a few other songs that have got really good guitar in it. So I just enjoy this sound. I enjoy time period of what he was doing with his music.
I'm curious. You're a guitarist. How difficult is it to play that little guitar riff Eric Clapton does?
It's actually pretty easy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've played it before.
Yeah, because it sounds so like grating to the ears.
Yeah, I've tried quite a few times to get the same sound, and I can't quite get the tone down, so I'm not sure exactly what he was using, but I can get it pretty close on my SG with my one Fender amp, but the tone isn't quite right, but pretty close.
Yeah, well, Eric Clapton's an amazing guitarist, and everybody knows that. Horrible person, amazing guitarist. Thank you for being you.
Yeah, but that's John Lennon, Plastic Ono Band, and Cold Turkey. And of course, we've been doing a lot of songs lately and not many albums. And I'm going to be completely honest, that's because they're much easier to get done and much easier to edit. Yeah, so you're probably going to see a lot more songs from us and an occasional album or two here and there. We'll definitely probably get through all the Beatles albums. We'll get through the Doors albums. I'm sure we'll make it through Led Zeppelin and some of the big bands that we're definitely fans of it, but mostly we're going to be releasing songs from here on out. And once again, we really appreciate you taking your time and listening to us, listening to a couple guys that don't really know anything about music other than what we think sounds good. That's our concept behind this, just to get together in our downstairs basement studio and talk about some songs we enjoy and go from there. So we appreciate it. And until next time,
See
you later.
Thank you so much for listening to Classic Vinyl Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe on Spotify or Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at Classic Vinyl Podcast for updates, and also share us with your music-loving friends.